a gorgeous day here. Hello, gonna do a little video here today. Very nice topic. Eric, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay, great. Good to hear. Great to hear. I'm gonna be talking today about Dutch New Amsterdam and its influence in today's present day New York. Pretty cool topic. You may be thinking, oh, but the Dutch only held New York for like 40 years, so it wasn't that long, right? Well, first of all, don't ever interrupt me again, okay? Second of all, it's more than you think. And to cover this topic, I actually got in hold of the expert. His name's Russell Shorto. He wrote a great book called Island at the Center of the World. And yeah, I read it. I read books. I'm pretty cultured. And we're going to talk to him, and we're going to talk to him on this boat behind me. It's called the John J. Harvey, Fireboat.org, and it's going to be a tour. We're going to go through the harbor, and everything's going to be pretty great. Before we start, guys, check out the Patreon. Big help, guys. Consider donating all kinds of levels. There's a little extras on there. All PG, okay? But do that. Also, too, please like the video, give it a little thumbs up, and subscribe. Subscribe. This helps bump me in the analytics, guys. You got to bump me in the analytics ahead of all the unlikely furry friends videos. All those crazy parts. Those are pretty cool, I guess. But I want to be a close second at least. So, Eric.
Animals are friends, not food, Tom.
All right. I get this lecture all the time from Eric right before we finish the video, and I go have a nice chicken sandwich. Yeah, sorry. Anyways,
Don't thumbs down the video. It's okay.
Please don't thumbs down the video. Yeah, forgive me. Anyways, unbelievable. I gotta getting lectured on my diets over here. Anyways, before I lecture you guys on some great history, Eric, are you ready to do this thing?
Yeah, let's get on the boat.
Let's do it, baby. Yeah. All right, so we are here on the John J. Harvey Fireboat, built in 1931. I'm hanging, I got a lane. I'm hanging onto a pole here, very loose.
Very loose.
Very loose. So the whole idea behind today's visit is to give you a sense of how the Dutch influenced modern-day New York. Most people don't even know this. It all dates back to 1609 when Henry Hudson was hired by the Dutch East India Company to find a route to India. He failed miserably, unfortunately, but in the process he went up the Hudson River all the way to Albany, came back, explored the area, reported back and told them, hey, I didn't find a route to India, but there is this really cool harbor, deep water, tons of animals, really great. The Dutch East India Company said, yeah, you're fired. That's not what we paid you for, but we're going to go ahead and start trading. And they did. They started trading with the natives. Then they set up shop. 1625, New Amsterdam is chartered. 1626, they buy Manhattan from the Lenape. All this I covered in my video on Henry Hudson. Okay, great. But we're going to talk to Russell Shorto today, as I've already said, because he's the expert on this thing. But let's tour around the boat, talk some more. What do you think, Eric?
I think we should tour around the boat and talk some more.
You are a son of a gun. All right, so I'm here with the one person in the world who might know more than I do about New Amsterdam and New York. This is Russell Shorto. He actually wrote the book on this called Island at the Center of the World. If you haven't read it, read it, but not until you finish this video. Russell, how's it going? Thank you for meeting with me.
Yeah, great to be here.
Thank you for having us on this boat ride. Yeah, fun trip.
Great to have 50 or so friends.
50 or so friends that we'll never see again.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the best kind of friends, right? So what made you so interested in New York history?
Living in New York. I was living in the East Village at the time, which
nice.
was near, and my daughter, who is now 27, she was little, and I would take her to the nearest place to run around and play, which was St. Mark's in the Bowery, the churchyard, where all these tombs of the first families are on the flush with the ground. But Peter Stuyvesant is in the foundation of the church.
Yeah.
And I would just think about, okay, I knew he has a wooden leg, and I knew a few things about him. And I was just impressed by my own ignorance of the Dutch period.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about why it's important to know the Dutch history of New Amsterdam.
What the Dutch did, what they brought was basically two things. This notion of tolerance, which they more or less invented in the 17th century, which did not mean, celebrating diversity or anything expansive
far from it,
like that. Yeah,
right.
It meant putting up with. Mm-hmm. But it was still a watershed. It was different from putting people on trial for witchcraft.
Sure.
And at the same time they were beginning to think about founding this colony, they were inventing the principles of capitalism.
There you go. Are you trying to say New York is a capitalist city?
No, far from it. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
you put those two things together,
Sure.
you kind of have New York.
Yeah.
And put them together in a different way, different kind of recipe, you kind of have the U.S. In the 19th century, the great waves of immigrants come. They see this, all these different people, different faiths,
Languages.
the languages, religions, and they're all working together, kind of what we would call upward mobility. They were doing all that stuff, and they're saying, okay, this is America. It was not America, it was New York, and it was New York because it had been New Amsterdam.
Who were the people responsible for cultivating this in New Amsterdam?
Sure, I mean, it was a small place, so you could say everybody was important. There were maybe 1,500 people. There were maybe 10,000 people in the whole colony, which stretched all the way up to what became Albany. You had supposedly 18 languages being spoken at one point in New Amsterdam. One of the things that Stuyvesant and these other small-scale traders did is they kind of cobbled together one version of what we would call capitalism.
Right.
So the West India Company provided an umbrella, and then you have all these companies who in Amsterdam that sent like one of their sons to found a branch office in New Amsterdam. So it's a very complicated thing that was going on.
Interesting. And then they open a coffee shop where coffee's $6.
Yeah,
that's what
and in Amsterdam, then a coffee shop, jumping ahead to the 20th century, was where you could buy pot, where you could smoke pot.
All right, you said it, not me. I guess it's legal now, so
Yeah.
all right, we'll cut the interview short. Let's go to the coffee
Things
shop. Exactly. So I'm here in the actual captain's room. I think that's the official name. This isn't in a green screen for once. Getting to hang out. I'm here to tell you, first of all, about the British when they actually took over from the Dutch. One of the reasons why that Dutch influence stayed was because they signed what was called the Articles of Capitulation. So when they pulled in, they tried to get Peter Stuyvesant to hand over the entire colony, right? Peter Stuyvesant with his peg leg and his tough attitude was like, over my dead body. He looks back at everybody else and is like, right guys, we're gonna fight. We're gonna die for this place, right? And everyone's like, I don't think so. That doesn't sound good. So the 93 richest merchants and leaders in this small little town, including his son, were like, yeah, we're not gonna do that. They signed what was called the Articles of Capitulation, which basically gave the British New Amsterdam. And in return, the British said, all right, we'll let you guys keep your cute little government, we'll let you keep your cute little stuff, but we're in charge here. And so from 1664 until 1783, the British were in charge, but the Dutch kind of got to keep their little roots in the city, which made it different from the other parts of New England. For more on this, we're going to go back to the expert, I think. That's probably the best thing to do. So one of the reasons the Dutch influence is still here is because when the British took over in 1664, they allowed a lot of that influence to stay put. Why?
Because it was working. They got all these deals with the Indians, they're planting tobacco, they're selling things to the English in Virginia, they're doing trade with New England. So they wanted to keep it going.
A lot of people know Peter Stuyvesant. He's this peg leg guy, big, larger than life, got his leg blown off by a cannonball pretty much, came here, very strict, whips the colony into shape, but people don't know who Adrian van der Donck is. Could you quickly kind of give an idea of who this man is and why he's important to New York and New Amsterdam?
Yeah, in the early days, Stuyvesant, he was here for a long time,
Yes.
17 years, and he comes with this idea that I got to whip this place into order. When he's here, the people are very unhappy with the West India Company, which ran the place. And they appoint van der Donck to be their representative. So he kind of is leading the opposition party. And he's arguing that this is an outpost of the Dutch Republic, which is a republic. It should have all the laws and everything and all the rights that are there. It shouldn't be seen as like this outpost of this multinational corporation where these people can be treated like serfs or something. It was because of him, because of his efforts, that New Amsterdam got chartered as a Dutch city in 1653, which is still what New York looks to as the date of its chartering as a city.
Mm-hmm. And I thought it was interesting too, the name of Yonkers, for example. It goes back to Jonker, which is a Dutch squire or landowner, right?
Yeah,
and that was his land. It was actually
yeah.
Van der
It was
Donck's
a
land.
name. It was named for him.
Yeah,
because
kinda
they
cool.
called him the Jonker or the Jonker, which was like the young lord or young sir.
Stuyvesant was kind of a controversial figure too, right? I mean, he had his controversial views on certain things, right? And when you
He
think
certainly would be controversial today.
you think he would have been canceled today?
I think like that.
He would have been canceled. We wouldn't be talking about the guy. So if they made a movie of the island at the center of the world, who would play Peter Stuyvesant? You think I could play Peter Stuyvesant?
I think you could do a pretty
I have
good job.
I have my headshot I could
Wow,
give to. So.
yeah, you haven't changed a bit.
Thanks. What is your favorite part about New York?
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that question.
Well, I asked
you
the
threw me there. Yeah.
hard-hitting questions
Yeah.
here.
Now that I don't live in New York, I live in America. Out there. When I'm in New York, just kind of the waves of it. When you're on the street, just all the different things that come at you. It's wonderful to kind of bathe in that.
Because there's a lot of other things you don't want to bathe in here in New York.
Next time you're on the subway.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of things you don't want to bathe in on the
yeah.
subway. So I read your book. It was really great. I'm a big fan. So
Thank you.
this is kind of like meeting Elvis for me. No big deal. I actually have. All right, that was a good impression. Pretty good. I actually have a copy here. Could you sign my book?
Can I make it out to you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. Follow-up question. What do you think this goes for on eBay? I'm actually working on a book similar to yours. Mine's called Living with Roommates in Your 30s at the Center of the World.
That sounds like a very similar topic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
In fact, I wonder if there's not an instance of plagiarism or something.
Nah, not at all. All right, guys. Well, we made it to the end. We survived a boat trip. No seasickness. Still got time. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you guys for watching. Also, too, if you like the video, check out the Patreon. That's how we fund these things. That's how we keep this thing going. There's some extras on there. Too. All PG. Also, too, like the video, subscribe, do all that thing. Helps us bump us in the analytics. Ahead of all the, unlikely dog best friend videos. Those are pretty cool, but this is cooler. And I want to thank, first of all, the fireboat.org. I want to thank the John J. Harvey for allowing us on this ship and trusting us with, all their fancy equipment and not to fall overboard and all that stuff. We barely made it. And lastly, I want to thank the man of the hour. That's the phrase, the star, Russell Shorto. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, answering some questions, teaching, all these YouTube viewers and heathens some history, all of us heathens. So really appreciate it. You enjoy yourself?
It was great fun. Thanks.
It was great fun. Yeah, of course. Thank you for having us. And I feel like we hit it off. I feel like we kind of hit it off. We should maybe go grab like a seltzer or something, hang out for a bit.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and you have that book coming out. The book about the British is pretty cool. I don't know, maybe you could dedicate it to me or something. That'd be kind of cool too.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, well, maybe we can grab a seltzer sometime or something. I don't know.
Do that.